Okay, hello everyone. It's so good to see you all. I am Ellie, founder of Walking Other People's Shoes and program manager for us. And I'm based in New York and Brooklyn. And Walking Other People's Shoes strives to empower women of color by providing transformative experiences through storytelling and community. And we're just excited that you guys are joining us. I'm so good to see so many familiar faces. And you know that it's a free virtual club for parents, students, educators, and children who want a deeper dive into themed activities and concepts around race, identity, and culture. We also shared theme activities and snack ideas, and just wanted to introduce you to our two facilitators. Our activities facilitator is currently in class, but she is giving us a pre-recorded video. She is a senior in Lehman College, pursuing a bachelor's in speech pathology and audiology, and she's going to follow with a master's in pathology. And these degrees will help her to continue her work in schools, provide extra support to speech to students with special needs. And she's based in the Bronx. And our main facilitator tonight is Mia Wen-Chen, and she is the facilitator for the group. And she also is a parent, blogs on parenting, children's books, and education at pragmaticmom.com. And she's also the co-creator for the Multicultural Children's Book Day as a nonprofit celebrating diversity in children's book, and she's based in the Boston area. So I want to pass it along to Mia.
By the way, Multicultural Children's Book Day, or Read Your World, as we are rebranding, we just opened up the sign up to get free diverse books to be a reviewer. So please just go to our website, Multicultural. Oh, there it is. And sign up and you'll get free books. Yeah. So for October, I think I was just talking about how I ended up at with the theme of Homelessness Awareness Month. And I was funny, I was supposed to do I thought I was supposed to do a book event like last week, like on Monday. And so I drove over and it was like, no, they had rescheduled. So I was there for no reason, but it was fine. In the South End where I used to live. And then it was right across the street from Pine Street Inn. And I was like, wait, that's a homeless shelter. I used to volunteer there in college. And like the neighborhood was very different. It was like the area is kind of gentrified. But I always knew about Rosie's place, which is a homeless shelter for women, but I've never been there. Although I think through another organization, I've donated like business clothes, like, cause I know they take business clothes. So anyway, but I have two friends who volunteer for the homeless and they go in a van and they drive around, like, I think they do it once a week. They drive around on like a Tuesday night and they just pass out toiletries, and especially in the winter, socks and underwear. So like I'm always collecting like toiletries, like when I go to a hotel or whatever, to give to them, to give it away. Cause I was like, oh, thank you so much. And so anyway, I haven't volunteered in a homeless shelter in quite some time, but Ellie was talking, like she has as well, probably more recently than me. But anyway, so that brings it to the giveaway. So I just found this kit on Amazon, and it's a woman's 10-piece travel kit. So it's got everything, shampoo and toothbrush and deodorant and, lotion and comb and, dental like picks. And so I thought that would be my giveaway because it just reminded me of what my friends do to help homeless people. So you can either use it because it's great for a travel kit, or, if you want to donate it to a shelter too, as well, like, anyway, that was my, that's my giveaway. And then the book I chose, it just came in, like, I think I got it like a few months ago and I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, Rosie's place? Like, no way, like it's in Boston. So that made me super excited. And then when I read it, the story was pretty moving. So I'll read you again, like just parts of it. But it's like a picture book. The only thing is true is like some pages have a ton of text and the font is quite small. and some pages have less text. So like just in terms of a picture book biography, I found that kind of interesting. But I would encourage everyone to come read the book if you like the story. And I'll read a few of the pages. So this is the beginning. Kip stood on tiptoe to stir the big pot of soup on Granny's stove. Already men were lining up by the back door, collars turned up and shoulders hunched against the cold. Some blew on their hands to keep them warm. Granny ladled the soup and Kip carried the steaming bowls outside. And I think the artwork like really kind of depicts the mood. It was during the Great Depression of the 1930s, where many people lost their savings, jobs, and even their homes. Men, women, and children begged on street corners for money or food. Some left chalk marks on the sidewalk as guides for other needy people. The mark outside Granny's house signaled that it was a good, safe place to be fed. After Kip's father died when she was an infant, Kip was raised in Granny's house. She was named Mary Jane after both grandmothers, but everyone called her Kippy. And so, like, here she is, and her grandmother, who's taking care of 10 children, is just, not just feeding the people that come to her door, but giving them things like if they need shoes, she'd give them her son's shoes, or if they needed things. And when Kip asked her grandma, like, why do you do this? And she said, I know that it's just people in need and that we are better off than they are. So, that's why I do it. And so like just growing up in that atmosphere, what happened was when Kip became an adult, she practiced the lessons she learned in her grandmother's kitchen. In 1968, she heard speakers calling for change in America, urging people to help bring an end to poverty and war. Listening, Kip said, she passed through a door and there was no going back. She sold her advertising business and joined the staff at Warwick House, a poor neighborhood of Boston. At Warwick House, if you were hungry, you could get a meal. You could find someone to listen. You could come there to pray. The workers at Warwick House visited jails and prisons. They helped kids in trouble. They gave out food and even money for rent. The door at 1 Warwick Street was always open. And so this was kind of the turning point for her, this page. So you'll see, do you see like, these are the people who are at the homeless shelter? And then do you notice like this page? What do you notice? So Kip is the one without the hat. But if you look at the one with the hat, this is what we're going to find out. One night, Kip was serving food to a line of hungry people. As she dished stew onto plates, she saw that the last person in line was a slim figure with small hands, a woman dressed in men's clothes. After this, Kip noticed other women dressed as men, always at the back of the line. At that time, shelters were only for men. Women had to disguise themselves to get a meal and a bed. And so this page is she starts to notice homeless women just, in the day-to-day. Here they are trying to find food in a garbage can. They're sleeping outside. And she's wondering, like, why aren't there homeless shelters for women? And the answer was that everyone thought homelessness is not a women's problem. But then she saw with her own eyes, no, it is. So she went to investigate. She went to a bunch of homeless shelters all over the place and stayed there, and just sort of saw how they ran. Most of them were for men. Sometimes it was for both, but it was varying degrees of experience. Sometimes they were like not that nice, but like her whole thing was like because she was there for 3 weeks at one in New York, she she took the time to get to know the people who needed the help. She would touch them on their arm and like listen to them, and that was something that like it really connected her to the people, and those people really appreciated it. And so it made her think, like she was kind of doing research to figure out, like Like, what do you do when there's all these women who need help and they're not getting it? So Kip hoped to open a women's shelter different from the dreary ones she had seen, where men slept with their shoes under their pillows to keep them from being stolen. She wanted to open a sanctuary with flowers and music where women wouldn't be reminded they were poor, a shelter with no chores, no questions asked, just good meals and warm beds. She hoped the volunteers at her shelter would listen to the guests. When you listen to people, you show respect. You learn who they are and what they need. And so she needed a building, and she just kept bugging like people in Boston in government. And she bugged them, and she just like didn't stop bugging them. And so they ended up letting her take over this abandoned grocery store in a poor neighborhood that hadn't been used in a year. And it was called Rosen's Market, but she wanted a name that would appeal to women, so she named it Rosie's Place. Rosie's Place opened on Easter, 1974, with sandwiches and coffee available. Kip and the volunteers distributed leaflets throughout the area, inviting women to come. Soon, hot meals were served, and beds were available. In a fundraising letter, Kip wrote, "Women can come in here for free meals, free clothes, and can talk or watch television or play cards. But mostly it's a place they can come to, where no one will criticize them for being poor or dirty or sick or alone or lonely." It was the first shelter in the country just for women. And I didn't realize they did close back then, because now, like, what I understand is they help women who want to get jobs. So they'll provide clothes, like, so you can go in an interview. And so a lot of times they'll do clothing drive specifically for like what would be appropriate, for someone who's trying to get a job. And so, I mean, it was like a great need and success, but she didn't stop there. She decided that it wasn't enough just to do a homeless shelter. She helped to start Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, to bring doctors to people on the streets and in shelters. She began the Greater Boston Food Bank to distribute food to the poor. She co-founded the Poor People's United Fund to finance programs helping the poor. She fought for permanent housing for the poor and homeless. So I have this friend in my neighborhood, and she's a doctor, and she like went to Harvard Medical School. Like, she's a really good doctor. And then I found out like she is a doctor for the homeless, like in this area where Rosie's Place is. And I think she got the funding to do that work. I think it's what Kip did. I think that's Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, raises money so they can bring in like an amazing doctor for the homeless. And so like, I was like, whoa, I think that's what it is. And also the Greater Boston Food Bank, that has grown to be like this almost entire block, where they just give and distribute food. Even like where I live in Newton, we have 3 food banks, and they're still getting food from the Greater Boston Food Bank, because especially during times of COVID, like no one could keep up. No one had enough food for the need. Okay, so this is kind of the ending page story that like literally I almost cried. One day, years later, she boarded a crowded bus with a friend. They found seats in the back. The bus began to move into traffic, but then pulled to the curb. The driver made his way down the aisle. He held out his hand to Kip. "Thank you," he said. "It's because of you that I ate when I was a child." And here you also just see that like hand-to-hand connection. Like, she was always, like making physical contact, making eye contact and listening. And I was like, yes, she touched this person for sure. But I'm just thinking like, even in my own life, her legacy like has touched people that I know, and like we're all sort of the better for it. And so there's a lot more back matter information about her. like they have the hobo symbols, you know, like when she talked about the chalk marks, like the hobo so like if the hobo symbols were an X meant a home was a good safe place for a handout. A cat meant a kind woman lives here. Cross lines below a face meant there's a doctor here. A triangle and a top hat meant that the homeowners were wealthy. And a pair of shovels meant that the family would provide food in exchange for work. So like someone, like you might not even notice it. I feel like if you're just walking, but that's how they communicated. And then there's kind of this glossary about terms, including gentrification, because it's in my old neighborhood. I used to live in the South End, which was like beautiful brick brownstones and kind of fancy. But then, like maybe 1800s, but then they put a railroad tracks right through the city that separated the South End from Back Bay. And then all of a sudden, nobody wanted to live there. So it like immediately vacated. And because it quickly went into like, you know, non-desirable housing, it became a place for immigrants. But like the infrastructure itself didn't like deteriorate because it was like so quick. And then like in the 70s, like when she was doing this, gay men moved in. It was, you know, and street by street, the closest street to the city was the first to get fixed up. So it was like artists, but really more gay men. And as the streets got, you know, because it was like tenement housing. It was like people would take a building and then rent it out to immigrants. And so as it got fixed up and got turned back into condominiums or single family houses, street by street by street, it got more and more expensive. The neighborhood changed. And now this neighborhood, like the street where it's like so expensive, it's crazy. But gentrification is like good and bad. Like it does look prettier, but a lot of times it pushes out people who live there who have trouble finding affordable places to live. So she kind of talks about that. And also like when I worked in the homeless shelter in that same neighborhood, but called Pine Street Inn, there was a lot of addiction and mental health because there was this law that got passed kind of Ronald Reagan's time. Like I would say like in the early 80s, late 70s, where when people had mental health and they were in state funded mental hospitals, they just said, no, they'll be fine. And they put them all out on the street. And a lot of the people with severe mental health, they didn't really have skills to get jobs, or I mean, they gave no support. They just said, you've been in this mental health for like, we are 20, 30, 40 years. Now you're leaving. Goodbye. We locked the door behind you. And so a lot of the like homelessness, like really escalated. These people had mental health, some had addiction. And then there's a Kip Tiernan memorial, which it's near Copley, which I don't know, I'll look for it. I've never seen it. I have never seen this memorial. And then there's a lot of quotes from her, which I think might be part of the memorial. But her thing was like, who gets to decide who gets the condo and who gets the cardboard box? That's like in the book. But so if I find this memorial, I will take photos and I'll post it on my social media for anyone who wants it. But yeah, for me, it was so personal because it connects me to Boston and the stuff that I am familiar with. So anyway, I hope you guys like the story. I never even heard of her. I've heard of Rosie, so I never heard of her. But I just thought, wow, she's a remarkable person. So now I think I'm going to show you Ruth's. Gonna move this. Ruth made us a video. For the activity.
Alrighty, y'all.
She's in the upper right hand
now that you
corner.
went ahead and share, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide.
Oh wait,
And
whoops,
this one,
wait. Oh wait, let me start from the beginning.
Alrighty, y'all. Now that you went ahead and share, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide.
Okay, wait, let's just read that slide. Did someone help you in this time and no, sorry. Did someone help you in this time of need? How? If not, how do you wish that someone could have provided you support? So this is kind of the question that she's put here.
Alrighty, y'all. Now that you went ahead and shared, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. And this one is one that's really inspired by the book. It's How Do You Want to Change or Improve the World? She did so many wonderful, magnificent things, right? She opened organizations and so many movements like permanent housing for the poor, to help with things to help with rent. So I wanted to go ahead and share, right? I've told you guys, I've been through my moments of sadness that people have with me, and this is where I am now, how I'm feeling, and how I want to change or improve the world. So right now I'm studying to be a speech pathologist to help improve the life of children with special needs, right? And their families who sometimes feel lost or they need guidance. And I really want to help them improve the lifestyle of their child and of the whole family as well. So that's something that I feel like will have a really big impact in the world. And I would love to give you guys the opportunity as well to go ahead and share how do you want to change or improve the world. And then once you guys are done with the post-its, you can go ahead and share. Now that you guys have shared,
so should I stop that there? So if anyone wants to like put anything in the comments or talk, feel free.
I can share. I think for me, it's helping people to start running. And I think for me, improving and helping other people through running, it's my way of giving back. I love running now, so it has helped me with my mental health. So now I like to help other people's journey on running and their running goals. I think that's the best part of being a pacer, is to kind of coach people and help them to believe in themselves, to do things that they wouldn't think that they could do. I think that's the best part of having a coach and being a coach, is to encourage people. And I like to be encouraging others, and I like when people encourage me. So it's a good fit on how I, provide help in helping people's physical and mental health needs.
So last year, Ellie said she ran like at least 4 marathons, but this year she's run 4 ultra marathons. And an ultra marathon is like multiple marathons, and she's about to do her longest ultra marathon. It's coming up, and it's 100 miles in a 24-hour period.
30 hours.
You have 30 hours to run 100 miles, and that's what she's been training for, which is pretty incredible. Does anyone else want to share? Okay, I'll hit play.
Thing that I feel like will have a really big impact in the world. And I would love to give you guys the opportunity as well to go ahead and share how do you want to change or improve the world. And then once you guys are done with the post-its, you can go ahead and share. Now that you guys have shared, that is all for our activity for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. We took a little bit of a step away from the crayons and the papers, and we moved into technology. Right, we have to embrace now we're in the time of using computers and all that. And I'm sorry, please ignore the sirens in New York City life, right? But I hope that you guys enjoy this activity and have fun as you talk with the person next to you.
Thank you, Ruth. She has class, so that's why we don't get to see her. She gave me a song to play, but I don't know. Wait, our guests are supposed to come in 10 more minutes, right? So we have time. I could play the song if people want to think about or discuss. I mean, we have sort of 10 minutes to hang out.
And yeah, I mean, what song did she pick? And that gives us some thinking time to answer the question.
She picked this. Okay, wait. Where did it go?
I like how Danielle says, I do small things like giving blood, and I give over 6 gallons. Wow.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, that they have a real need.
Wow.
Wait, should I do a screen share again?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment about, I've read the book before. I think it's a wonderful book and about the issue of having women's shelters and also shelters for children. I had a really good friend who actually experienced homelessness as a boy. And he said it was just him and his mom. And when they went to the shelter, they separated him and he had to go to the men's side. And I don't remember how old he was, but he was, I think, like maybe 8 or 9 at the time. And just talking about how terrifying it was going and hanging out. He had to go to the men's side. He didn't know anybody. And like you said, this is an atmosphere where men are sleeping with their shoes under their pillows so they don't get stolen. So he didn't sleep. And whenever this happened, like he couldn't sleep at all. He couldn't relax. And the fact that they make young boys separate from their moms in that kind of situation just, to me, just kind of speaks to the need for the kind of shelters like they have there. It's like that it's not really taking into account women and families. So there is a real need for it. Yeah. Yeah.
And you think about it too, like your friend, like he's not sleeping and then he's probably still going to school because at school he'll get more meals than he needs to go to school. And so like how is he supposed to
learn?
Yeah. Because I had a classmate at Harvard and it was a little bit on the down low. I didn't know her that well, but she was from Boston. But it was like she was open about it. Like she was basically an orphan living in homeless shelters. And so she just somehow managed to like keep it together, got into Harvard, worked her tail off, went to Harvard Law School, I believe. And like I didn't really appreciate like what that meant, as like an undergraduate. But now you think about it, and it's just like, like we have winters, we have cold, like there's safety issues. Like to me, she's like I didn't realize how remarkable what strength and fortitude she had. Because also like she's in college, she's just like she's just like trying to be like everybody else. So it isn't like, she wants people to be like, oh my gosh, the homeless kid, but it is crazy. Harvard has this, it's called the Science Center. So it's like this huge building that looks like an old-fashioned Polaroid camera because it literally was funded by Polaroid. And it's got like all the big lecture halls, like where you take like the big science classes. It's got like 15 stories. Parts of it have 15 stories where there's like, office space, lab space. That's where a lot of the science professors will have like an office, or like the TAs will have office. It's where the science library is. Like there's a basement where there's like a giant wood shop. Like who knew, right? There's like a food place where you like it's not a cafeteria, but it's where you have to buy food. It's not like dorm food, but it has revolving doors, so like the doors never lock, so the building's open 24 hours. And just like the library has security, like to get in and out of the library you have to show a card, but you don't have to show a security card to get into the science center. And because it's so big with so many like floors and so many offices upstairs that are empty a lot, that I didn't realize it. But because when I worked at the homeless shelter, the Pine Street Inn, like I would literally hand out like Kool-Aid and vitamins. Like that was my job. It wasn't, but I would get all these people because they just like wanted to talk to like, like a female girl. And I did it with a friend who was a football player because it was like the area was like not that safe. But anyway, I years later ran into this man in Harvard Square, and he was like, yeah, you used to give me the vitamin. I was like, oh yeah, like, oh, so little. And he was like, he turned his life around. He got a job, and I don't know what the issue was, but he was like, yeah, it was a really tough time. And he was like, I used to like sleep in the science center. Like, I'd go up, whatever. And I was thinking like, I never saw him. I was in the science center a lot because I took science classes, but I never saw him. But it was sort of like, it was one sort of amazing to me that he was able to turn his life around so much from needing a homeless shelter into like being able to, you know what I mean? Just go back into society and get a job and, get a place to live. And that like, maybe it wasn't the vitamin, but like the fact he figured out the science center was a safe place to sleep, especially like, winters and, like here we have snow and like, poor weather. It's sometimes the weather is so poor. They put the word out on the street, like find all the homeless people, bringing them to these shelters because they will literally freeze to death. Like it's not safe, and yeah, it just makes you realize how tough it is. And also with, COVID and all kinds of things, like the price of rent skyrocketing everywhere, how it's not just men, it's not just one, but it's like entire families, So this is the song she wanted to play was Rise Up by Andra Day. Want me to just play it without being
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round.
do this if you can hear. Can you hear it, Ellie?
But I see it in you, so we gonna walk it out. Ooh, come on, Dave. We gonna walk it out. And on Dave. And
Yeah, now it's breaking up. I hear nothing.
Can you hear it?
No, not anymore.
Oh, okay. Do you want to just put me on if you give me screen sharing? Maybe I should screen share it.
Let's see. Screen share.
We just do that while we wait for our guest to arrive. We'll have.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Oh, maybe because I made my screen so little.
living life on the merry-go-round. You can't find out.
Is that working better?
But I see it in you, so we gonna walk it out. Ooh, okay. We gonna walk it out.
Little bit choppy now. That's we kind of, at least I know the song, but you can put the link to the song if you want.
So I just stop sharing?
Yeah, it's too. It doesn't sound so good.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
So a little experiment.
We have a few minutes until they're joining us. So.
And I think we have the author and the illustrator.
We have both.
Which also is unusual for us. A lot of times the illustrator is once we had just the illustrator, but usually it's just the author. So you know what, I can talk about the one that's coming up. So we have Indigenous Peoples Month. I guess it's Indigenous Peoples Day is coming up. So this also works. But for November, we have this book, Just Like Grandma by Kim Rogers, illustrated by Julie Flett. And It is a Native American story. And Kim Rogers, I'm in this group called Soaring 20s. So we're all picture book writers. Well, some people write picture books and other stuff, but I'm just picture book. And so she's in my group. And this is her new book. And because I wanted to get Julie Flett. Julie Flett did the illustration for Multicultural Children's Book Day. The illustration is beautiful work. And so I reached out to her first, and she just said, "Oh, I have such anxiety. Like I just don't do public events." And I was like, "Oh, it's so small." And she was like, "I just can't do it. I have too much anxiety." And so when I reached out to Kim, she said she would do it. And I thought, that's great. Yeah, so we'll do this. And I usually just like to get Native American businesses to support. And so I found this one that I think it's various maple syrup products. And some of them are in really beautiful bottles, like small, like kind of handmade, small batch produced maple syrup. So so that is my the book and the giveaway for next month. So yeah, I hope you guys will come back for that.
Yes.
Oh, I see Christine McDonnell.
Oh, you see her?
Oh wait, no, I don't. I just see that in the chat.
Oh. No, I haven't seen her come in the room yet.
Ooh, I hope there's no snafu.
I know I sent the invite. Checking. I
Yeah,
remember.
they were pretty, like they were quite enthusiastic. And I know we went through the publisher's marketing person.
Yeah.
You wanted to resend it really fast
Yeah, let me just resend
in
it.
case. Sorry, the music didn't work out. So Danielle, so there's a lot of comments, so I missed them all. So maybe we'll just go through some of the comments. Danielle said, "This is so moving." Robert asked who the author is, and then Leanna said it's Christine McDonnell. Danielle said, "Amazing." Leanna says, Zev says, "To help globally, you have to start locally." And then Danielle says, "I do small things like giving blood today." That's amazing.
That's a good one.
She gave 6 gallons
Yeah.
in her life so far. That's a lot. Like that's a lot of lives you've helped. I love listening to music. They have a homeless shelter where she lives that travels among churches here. Oh, I've never heard of that. That seems like a great idea. There's a lot of homeless shelters in Boston that are like church basements. Danielle says she volunteers to make sack lunches for people in need. That's so helpful. And the church houses people in January, which it's always cold in Michigan. And inspirational story of how shelters help people get back to their feet. And the music was not working out. And Robert said double treat. Yeah. Makes me think about like, oh, I haven't volunteered in a really long time in like a homeless, other than like donate food or, okay, this is the thing I do actually. This is my sister's idea because my sister's in California and she would always drive around with like a can in her car. And if she sees someone that like has a sign, like they need money or whatever, she just rolls down the window and she hands them a can of food. And so I started just doing, because like my like food banks, like in my neighborhood, like they wouldn't take any food during COVID because of the germs. Like they took zero. They would take zero. But like even when it wasn't COVID, everything had to be brand new, packaged, unopened, which I understand. But like in my house, like we have a lot of like, someone eats 2/3 of the cereal, but not the last third because it's like slightly stale and they won't eat it anymore. But it's like it's perfectly fine. Or someone like buys the snack and they don't really like it, so they eat like 2 things and then it just sits there. So I just started taking them and I would use like the chip clips. Like my husband doesn't know this, but I would use chip clips, and then I would just put them all in the bag. So I would put like the food that's partially eaten, but like it's like snacks, like dry keeps, cans where I know like that would be helpful. Sometimes like leftover Halloween candy. Like I would just do like this whole like little handled bag. I keep it in my car. And then when I see someone that says like, I need food or I need money, and usually it's like in a highway type situation, like there's a light, but like you have like 10 seconds before you're right. And then I roll and like, here you go. And I hand it. So oftentimes it's like in Chinatown, like to the same person, or there's certain intersection where you come into Newton, like to the same person. And I feel like, okay, so me, so like, my food is good. And so people take it. And sometimes like I have fortune cookies because like I don't like, I'm trying to eat less carbs, which they have the whole, so anyway, so that's what I've been doing. And so because a lot of the snacks have been opened and so my husband's like, one day he's opening the drawers and he was like, where are all the chip clips? Like I keep finding there's none. And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I told my son, he just laughed because he sees me, like, because he'll be in the car with me. I'll be like, grab the bag in the back. So now I've been starting to just like seal it up with like multiple rubber bands because we're like, we have 3 chip clips left because I keep giving them away. But I mean, especially if the food isn't already stale, I don't want it to be stale. And also, shows like, the food's still good. Like it has a chip clip. Lana says we used to do something similar with snacks in our car, granola bars. Yeah. Because a lot of times too, my kids buy those bars. Like at one point we had an entire like canister of like different kinds of protein bars or like energy bars because my kids like would buy them and like maybe use them for sport, but then they decide they don't like them anymore. It literally was like 40 of them. I did the same thing. I gave them away. Oh, binder clips. That's a good idea. Yeah. Well,
I think they might not be coming
I don't
soon.
know. I maybe we should just
Mhm.
leave a little early then.
Yeah, we'll just leave a little early and
Thank you. I'm sorry. They were so excited to be here. So I'm sorry. A lot of times people get, honest to God, the time change confused and they come on an hour later, like that. I personally mess up the time zone very often. So I am very sympathetic to that. But they were all like, oh, we can't wait. Thank you so much for inviting us. So I'm sorry it didn't work out, but
okay, no worries.
all right, thank you. Oh wait, we need to pick a winner.
Yes. Okay. So Leanne, it's good to see you. Thank you. Well, I guess this month could be Danielle.
Yay.
Yay.
I think I have your address, but I mean, just email me just so I can make sure.
I have it.
Yeah, we have your address.
I got it.
And I'll send it out to you tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I'll send it 2-day air, so hopefully you'll get it soon. Yay, thank you so much.
I just sending that.
And Robert, I hope your package arrives. I don't know what happened. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck to Ellie for the ultra. I don't know. Are we meeting again before the ultra?
I'll be seeing you guys after.
Okay, so we can hear about your good. So good luck with your ultra. It's in Arizona.
You can follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, follow her.
All my things will be there. So
amazing.
Okay, well, good night, everyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If it doesn't arrive, let me know and I'll send you different books and some kind of surprise. We'll give it another week. Because usually the only thing is like if they deliver it to the wrong place, it doesn't get automatically mailed back to me unless someone pays the postage. Or there's also postage theft for packages. So I don't know if someone stole your package and it already arrived or it went to the wrong place by accident and that person, even if they go to the post office, unless they pay the return postage to me, it won't come back to me. So we'll give it one more week and otherwise I'll send you some of my signed books and some kind of fun food item. I promise. Okay.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.